So he gets this brilliant idea to run for president. Haven't we had enough, Andrew? Apparently not. You know what this actually reminds me of? Okay, so remember back on American Idol, like back in the day, how sometimes people would be just super bad, but Paula Abdul would be the super sweet one, like, girl, you're doing amazing, baby girl, like, go after your dreams, you know? And then Simon was like, that was terrible. Well, I think Andrew surrounded himself with Paulas. Because right now everyone is telling him he's a great singer, but someone just really needs to put a stop to this. Anyway, at this point, people were feeling tired or even bored of politics. It was all the same, buttoned up men in suits, spewing words nobody understood. The people wanted someone who really represented them and would make some changes around here. Andrew Jackson knew he would be perfect for the job because, well, why wouldn't he be? He's Andrew fucking Jackson, okay? He's ready to party. So he officially started campaigning in 1822, and like we mentioned before, he was wildly popular. He was running against this guy named John Quincy Adams, who was actually a super Jackson fan at first, and was in the same political party, which was considered the Democratic Republican Party. So now we have the Democrats and Republicans, but back then it was just one party. They do eventually split, but we'll get to that later. So the election happens. Andrew won the popular vote, but nobody won the Electoral College. It was actually a 5-way tie. Yeah, I don't know how that happens, but it did. Because of the tie, it was then handed over to Congress to decide who would become the president. Now the Congress, they were not a fan of Andrew Jackson because they didn't like him. No. So with that being said, the Congress easily chose John Quincy Adams to be the United States president. Now, I think it's safe to say this is the first time Andrew Jackson had ever heard the word no. Sorry, loser. So what does a man who has a fragile little ego do when they hear the word no? Well, they turn to a little baby child and throw a fit. Andrew was raging. He was pissed. He never lost, okay? Like, what the fuck do you mean? What do you mean I lost? You lost, Andrew. You lost. And he just can't seem to accept this answer. And normally, when someone was in Andrew's way, he would just murder them. But since he can't just literally murder the president, he can use his words to take him down. And he got his eyes on John Quincy Adams, who, let me remind you, they were friends. They were literally like BFF. I mean, they weren't, but I like to pretend that they were doing each other's hair. So Andrew wouldn't face the facts. He went around to friends, neighbors, the media, and told everyone that the election was rigged. He called it a corrupt bargain. And then he announced he was going to be running for president again, right then and there. This election was 3.5 years away. So he had plenty of time to campaign, I guess. And those next 3 years were a complete blur, because Andrew spent practically every moment talking shit about John Quincy Adams, trying to prove he was a corrupt liar. This caused so much drama that the Democratic Republican Party officially broke up into 2 separate parties. This is where we are then introduced to the Democratic and the Republican parties. Those who called themselves Republicans were Team John Quincy Adams, and the others, who were Team Andrew, were Democrats. Super iconic moment in American history, because this is where the 2 parties were born. You see, when 2 people hate each other very much, they combine their little bad tempers with other bad tempers, and eventually 2 little baby monsters come out, and they call them Republicans and Democrats. And we still see today grown men acting like children in both parties. I should be fair and say men and women, but mainly men. You know? If we're lucky, we might get to see the beauty of life happen again with another new party. Wouldn't that be awful? So, things got messy, and the media is dragging everyone to filth. Okay, they're bringing up Andrew Jackson's past. They're bringing up John Quincy's past, calling everyone just nasty names, pointing fingers, and it just goes back and forth for years. Does this not sound super familiar? Ain't it weird? It kind of is. Isn't that weird? Now, John was president, so he didn't have time for this shit, okay? He was doing president stuff. He wasn't feeding into Andrew's games. But Andrew was like, I'm not president. I'm going to keep playing dirty. So he did. Great. He would go on to become a bit of a professional shit talker. The press would ask him, what's your plan when you're president, sir? And he would say, well, anything John Quincy Adams isn't doing, fuck that guy. He even went on to call John Quincy Adams names like dandy with a purse. Ooh, those are fighting words. Dandy with a purse. Got him. Andrew's supporters were getting all riled up, okay? They loved the shit talking. They loved to feed into it as well. They even started their own rumor that John Quincy Adams was a pimp in Russia. But literally, though, they were trying to push this rumor that he worked as a pimp in Russia. By the way, completely untrue, but everyone, I guess, thought it was hilarious or something, and it just kind of stuck. So people are believing it. At this point, it's fair game. Supporters of John Quincy started calling Andrew's wife, Rachel, a whore because somebody found out the truth about their marriage. Drama, drama, drama. Exhausting, petty. And they say freaking women are dramatic, huh? Poor Rachel, she hasn't said a damn word, and they just keep going after her. She's like, I'm churning butter. What more do you want? Anyways, this election is remembered as one of the dirtiest elections ever held due to all the shit-talking both parties, all parties, shit, everyone took part in. Congratulations, America. You did it. Good job. To his credit, John Quincy did not want to participate in this behavior. It was very unbecoming of the president to be involved in the dramatics of it all. Plus, he hated this. He really liked Andrew Jackson. He thought they were friends. Remember when they did shit together in Florida? Bestie behavior. He was so upset by what was happening that he even refused to write in his diary from 1828 until after the election. And you know what's bad if you're no longer updating your diary with all the latest deets. Now years pass, the bickering continues, and then election day arrives. By this point, everybody has lost focus on what the election was even about. America, who's that? It's now pimp versus murderer. Who are you voting for? Well, it turns out murderer because Andrew Jackson would become president of the United States. Applause. White wealthy murderers always seem to prosper in this country. It's very strange. His victory would be short-lived, though. Just a few months before he took office, Andrew's love, his partner, his ride or die, Rachel, she would pass away. So, of course, Andrew, he took this opportunity to make sure everyone knew that she died because of the political smears placed against her, and not because of, a heart attack. You did it. You killed her. And even at her funeral, it said that Andrew Jackson said, quote, "May God Almighty forgive her murderers as I know she forgave them. I never can."